Yeah, 18 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday morning's OTB AM. That conversation with Eddie Dunbar has got me in the mood for talking about a bit more exercise as well, with the sun shining for the foreseeable future. It's the perfect opportunity to get out and get active, and Grant Thornton Ireland is encouraging you to do just that with the return of its GT 5k race series this summer. The Irish Olympian Derval O'Rourke is back as the national race ambassador, with the first race of the series kicking off in her native Cork on June the 13th. Derval, how are things? Good morning.
Things are great. How are you?
Keeping well. We're flying it here. It's funny, I was reading we had a conversation over the last week or two. We were talking about the GAA conversation about the under-12s and the competition, and it kind of blew up on Twitter as this thing, should we have competition for under-12s, and should this be a thing? You wrote a piece actually in the Examiner, I think, in the last month or two. We were talking about this, where you've two kids yourself of that age now, where they're getting involved in sport. What's your take on all this? And I guess finding the right balance between competition and enjoyment, really.
First of all, I'm sorry about my dog. She's a bit elderly and she gives out a bit. Clearly, she's got really big views on this. I find it fascinating, right? I find it fascinating from so many angles, because obviously I come from the elite end of sport, where I was that kid that I was winning from when I was young. So for me, sport always it gave me a lot. It felt very easy, particularly as that kid that was winning. And now I see, I have a 4-year-old, I have a 7, almost 8-year-old. But the other thing I've started doing is, in the past 2 years, I've started coaching a lot more, just voluntary coaching. And I've coached from every level, from the high performance level of an athlete, going to major champs, down to a 6-year-old in my local school. So for me, I think there needs to be such a balance. I think, and I guess I feel quite passionate about girls as well. I think girls need to feel like they have a place in sport, and that it feels easy and doable for them to move. And I think that can start to feel really difficult really quickly. And I see the competitive side of it, with, even my daughter, she wants the crack, and she doesn't want to be bored, but the competitive side of it isn't a big thing for her. And obviously, in my house, my husband went to the Olympics as well. We're obviously quite competitive people. So I think it's massively important that we come at this. For me, success is that your kids are still moving in 10 years. It's not that your kids are necessarily trying to go to the Olympics, because that's such a tiny part of sport. So yeah, I do feel very passionate about it. Sorry, that was a bit of a long ramble.
No, it's fascinating, because you obviously have that experience of being a competitive professional athlete, as someone who was involved in sport yourself growing up, and then to have kids as well coming into it, where I guess you're trying to find that balance, and you see so many parents, and Ger spoke about it yesterday, you see parents at the sidelines of underage soccer matches or Gaelic matches in this country who are essentially trying to live out their broken sporting dreams through their kids, which is terrible, really.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I think I've probably learned more from coaching, actually, than, not that I haven't learned from the kids would be very insulted. I think when you coach, actually, you see, and I think it would be good actually for every adult. I'm going to let the dog out. She's going to drive me mad.
No worries.
You apologise.
It's a full-time job. It's busy. The dogs keep you busy as well, John. Do you have a dog yourself?
Not at the moment, no. Big time for dogs, but
you're not a cat man.
Cats are. I'd
have to kick you out of the studio if you're a cat man.
The way that cats play with mice, just not a fan.
Hop in, you're back. Yeah,
you're a dog.
I'm back. The dog thing's somewhat relevant, because Berlino is the name of the mascot at the 2009 Olympic or 2009 World Championships, because my then boyfriend had a bet with me that I couldn't make a world final, and that if I did, that he would get me a dog, and she is that dog from 2009.
Wow,
there's a nice legacy there of the then boyfriend.
But now husband, so it all worked out well. Anyway, sorry, back to
I have to ask you about the name of Archie later on as well, because I know that's significant, but there we go.
Okay, yeah, you can ask me about that. So sorry, from a coaching perspective, so for me, as I said, in the past, when I first retired, I didn't really coach at all, right? I was really busy with life, starting to have babies, starting my business, doing different things. And in the past 2 years, I've definitely gone more into that mode of giving back, because I've kind of come full circle. I feel like I've had enough distance from the sport to actually to actually feel like I can go at it maybe from a more maybe relaxed perspective, with less bias of my own experience and less of that high performance mindset. Maybe in some ways it's good, and in some ways you need to park it. But I think anybody who has a child should be involved in volunteer coaching is actually something I think. And for me, it's taught me a huge amount, because I know, as I said, at the moment, I'm coaching a group of girls at the moment, right? And the fastest of them I'm running in the Cork City Sports on Thursday. I don't know if that's something you guys have heard of. It's like a sprint event in Cork. It happens every year. Pretty much every school in Cork takes part in it. 60 metres, 80 metres, 100 metres. It's amazing, right? Happens for boys and girls. So I'm coaching the girls that are doing that. But when I started coaching those girls, I had this moment where I was like my daughter is not one of the girls who made that team. And I was like, I shouldn't just be there coaching the really fast girls. It's just as important as the girls who aren't fast, that they get a little bit of exposure to maybe someone they might know from something. You know, they might know me from Fittest Family, or they might know me from my athletics career or something else. So, and I have had, I swear, I'm not just saying it, just as much enjoyment from coaching the girls that look nervous and apprehensive and, you know, they don't want to move, to the girls who are actually going and trying to do really well on Thursday in that big meet. So I think as a person, you have to stand back and go, what's this all about? Like, it's about people feeling good about themselves, and you have to park that medal side, if that makes sense.
It must be a strange one for parents, Derval. I remember when I was a kid, I always used to marvel at, like, there were parents who on one level would be at every game and would shout cheer on their kids almost at the expense of everyone else, which I wasn't a big fan of. Then there are parents who literally never went to see their son play. Never. They'd never be at a game, from first game in the league to the county championship. Never went to games, and I always wondered why that was the case. But nowadays you've obviously parents as well, and I see this in my own family, that, you know, they've so much to do, to and from, bringing them here and there, and you're like, what is the balance of all this?
Yeah, the balance is an interesting one as well. Like, for me, just with my kids, my son is quite young. Like, he's only 4, so like he does a bit of gymnastics once a week. And I mean, I'd say a bit of gymnastics, that's very loose, because I don't know, does he actually listen and do anything? He just runs around and has the crack. But my daughter's in much more. So my thing, I guess, with my kids is, again, it's back to the individual kid. Like, I know what my daughter, like, she responds really well to moving her body. She feels really good if she moves. So I aim to go, okay, is there something she can do most days that helps her to move? But then the other thing I do is I kind of judge it. It's almost like, I hate using this word because it makes it sound really formal. It's almost like doing an audit, like every few months, like because most of us as parents are working and trying to balance everything. So it's like, can you sit down every 3 to 6 months and go, okay, what's the balance here? Like, what's tipping us over the edge? Like, what's the reality? What are they getting out of this sport? Are they enjoying it? Are they miserable? Like, is there something else you can slot in, take out? And like, yes, like, as I said, my daughter does loads of stuff, but last night I spent probably an hour outside with her, where we did a combination of like messing around with the basketball. She made me go into the trampoline with her for ages. And just lots of just very informal exercise. And that's the thing as well. I think we get very caught up in, like, you know, being able to, and I hear it in other parents. I hear it when I coach, of someone wants to be able to kind of label, oh, my kid's really fast at this, or, you know, such and such a kid is great at doing that, as opposed to saying like some days I walk my daughter to school, right? And I'm lucky in that I can make that work with my own work. And I live close enough to the school to do that. But for me, that's a massive success, that like I can get up and the two of us can walk to school together, chat. Like, that's really good exercise. So, you know, I think people get caught up in, yes, I do think they get caught up in the competitive side. And I'm sitting here now as someone like who went to 3 Olympics as the most competitive kid in the world. I was challenging every kid that I grew up with to race, but not every kid is like that. And in fact, most kids probably aren't like that. So I think it's really important to make those kids feel empowered to move their bodies, because that's a tool for life. Really, really important.
It's funny because I was actually reading an interview, brings us nicely to Rhasidat Adeleke, because I was reading an interview with her and she was talking about her earliest sporting memory being, I think she was in primary school and winning a 50 metre sprint race, and, you know, her teachers or whatever saying you're fast, and obviously it taken off from there. I mean,
and
Derval,
she was.
and she literally, yeah. But I mean, the records that just keep come tumbling down, and again at the weekend, Derval, the numbers just, a sub 50-second display again, personal best time of 49.54 over 400 meters. I mean, Rhasida's just unbelievable, isn't she?
Yeah, she's other level. She's other level. Like, I suppose myself and say the other athletes that are out the other side of our career, I guess the athletes that have a bit of profile that come on and we talk about athletes, we're always really careful when we're talking to like bring down expectation, because it's a really hard thing to carry. And when we see, young underage athletes being prodigies and doing really well at like World Under-20s, European Under-20s, breaking records, we're always like, okay, calm it down. Let's not put the pressure on, because that transition from being a 19-year-old to being a really good 20-something in the senior level is so difficult. But I genuinely believe Rhasida's very different to that. She's actually at that level now globally. Like she, and I said this to Rob Heffernan last summer, I said, you know what, Rhasida will have a crack off the podium in Budapest, and she'll have an even bigger crack off the podium in Paris. Like, she is coming for everything in the sport, and like, you just love to see it, because I don't honestly believe we've ever had a talent like her. And I say that with saying, I think Sonia Sullivan's queen, I think she's unbelievable, but I think Rhasida will go places maybe even Sonia didn't. And that is phenomenal. It's phenomenal that we all get to witness it, and it's incredible. I can't say enough good stuff about her, other than she's the full package. I think physically she's obviously incredible, but I think her big attribute is her mental capacity to cope with stress, to want to compete. Again, you talk about, there's a small percentage of people who have a real bite and want to go after it hard, and you see it in them. Like, you see it that they're the type of people, when there's a bit of blood in the water, they're going to go. And like, Rhasida is one of them. And it's a joy to watch. And her career, as short as it's been, has been phenomenal.
If you haven't got people excited for the Paris Olympics now, then I don't know how you're going to do it, because that's really got me excited for Rhasida across the next year and a half, 2 years. I mean, I remember the tweet. It was in the last 6 months. Michael Johnson put out the tweet, a video of one of her races over in America, and he said it's a bit of advice for her. Look out when she learns to use those arms. She's carrying them instead of using them to drive the legs. The difference is significant over 400. It helps increase speed and reduce fatigue. But as you say, she has time to, I guess, improve on little small things like that, Derval, that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, she has so much time. But it's interesting. I remember being in a studio with Sonia, and we were talking about Jakob Ingebrigtsen, the Norwegian superstar. He's won like multiple Olympics, Worlds, Europeans, and he was really young at a European Championships a few years ago. And I remember Sonia saying something along the lines of, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Like, and she's only 20, but she's good enough. So she's old enough for us to be talking about her in this context, but also in terms of scope for improvement. Yes, of course she has scope, but she's an incredible coach, and Coach Flo over there in Texas, and he'll be looking, and there's a certain way people run naturally, and like Michael Johnson knows that better than anyone, because his technique was so unique. And I think she runs a certain way, and she has a certain flow, and like when you see her how she covers the ground, it's majestic, it's incredible, it's such a gift. And it'll be interesting to see those little tweaks she makes, because you don't want to go too far away from what makes you naturally good. And like, for me, what makes her naturally good is how well she covers the ground with ease. And then the fact that she's got this unbelievable natural speed, like those, to me, those are her physical attributes that are so good. So it will be interesting to see, what the little tweaks she makes. I think learning the event is massive. Like, this is her first year really doing a full year of 400. We saw her at Europeans last year. She was gutted not to medal at Europeans, and in many ways she had no right to think she was on the podium, yet she did, which goes back to her kind of mental fortitude and attitude. So yeah, it's interesting. Like, I love that the likes of Michael Johnson is talking about her, because I'm not sure we've ever really had that before, We spoke to Eddie Dunbar as well. Like, how does Irish athletics market her in terms of this is the possibility? I mean, this is a superstar pretty much. Do you know what? She's a global superstar, and I honestly believe that. Like, I think it's just a case of everyone goes along for the ride and enjoys being on it, because Rhasida will I think she could potentially be the biggest sports star we've ever had, and that's sort of, those people that kind of transcend here, like, like with the utmost respect, like say when myself and the likes of David Gillick, Rob Heffernan, on our day, if everything went right, we could have a crack at it. Whereas I think Rhasidat will be at that level all the time. So how do you market it? I think from an Athletics Ireland perspective, like, it's about relationship management. It's about doing the things that help her and facilitate her. The fact that she's not based in Ireland, I honestly believe is a really good thing for her. Ireland's amazing. We all love being here, but it comes with a lot of pressure. We're a very small nation, and she has the capacity to be so great that that's a lot of pressure to carry. And I think when you're actually physically removed from it, it does make it easier. So I think, from all of her perspectives, it's about being guided by what she'll do, because I think she actually enjoys the pressure. I think she enjoys knowing people are talking about her. She doesn't shy away from it. So, but you have to still remember, this is a 20-year-old. Think about all of us at 20. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very young.
Yeah, Jesus, it's mad when you put it like that. Like, and it makes sense. Like, if she was an American athlete in Austin doing what she's doing, the hype train would just be on another planet. It would just be incredible about her. But as you say, you mentioned her mental fortitude there a minute ago, Derval. Like, and I remember her being asked recently about how she gets over a bad performance, and she says she just tries to have short-term memory. Remember that one race doesn't define her. Get over it. Use it as motivation as well to bounce back. For a 20-year-old, just to even come out with things like that is just remarkable. It as you said, mental fortitude is on another level.
It is remarkable. But she's always been really remarkable. Like, she's always had that bit of wisdom around performance. And, like, it's probably the biggest skill that you can teach. And, even kind of going back to kids in sport, that you can teach them that at the end of the day, it's only a game. It's only running. It's only, like, even what Rhasidat does. Yeah, it's really important to us and we all love it. And we're here for the journey. But she's running around a lap. Like, there's a lot bigger and worse things that go on in life. So I think if you can keep that perspective, it's a phenomenal tool, because that is the thing, as the stakes go higher, that will destroy you. It's the thing as an athlete where you lose that perspective that it's just running and it's just a game and it isn't life. Yes, it's very important, but it's important in a moment. And the fact that she has that already, at her age, and also, something that I think is really, really benefiting her, that she's not totally dominating. So she's over there in the US, she's in their collegiate system. There's a girl, Britton Wilson, she's run 49 low, which is a couple of meters quicker than what Rhasidat's run now. So the fact that Rhasidat is not necessarily the top right now within that system, that's really good for her, because that'll keep her hungry and give her that bite. And also, she's got a girl in her training group, Julian Alfred, who's incredible, over 100, 200. So you have to think, every time she goes training, she's got a girl that's better than her on speed. And then when she's coming out racing, there's a girl who's dropped faster times than her. So there's an element of that will be a niggle for her. And that's a good thing. Like, you want her to have that the whole way, hopefully up to Budapest and World Championships.
100%. Gives her that extra motivation consistently. Derval, you've really got us excited about the career of Rhasidat Adeleke, as if we weren't already excited enough. But really delighted you could join us this morning. Thanks a million. Enjoyed the chat.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Great stuff. Derval O'Rourke there.